The 2026 ACSA Every Child Counts Symposium coming your way January 12th through the 14th in the beautiful town of San Diego. Michael Kelly, Naj Alakan, thrilled to be with you and thrilled to be joined by our keynote speakers of the event, Kim and Penn Holderness. So happy to have both of you with us. How are you?
We're doing great. We're excited to be here and excited to go to San Diego in January.
I know. Thank you for that. Thank you for being in San Diego. San Diego.
You know, you and I were talking off camera. I just got back from New York, and I can only imagine North Carolina probably similar temps come January. So we're happy to help you out.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Any January sunshine you can throw our way.
Well, it's such a treat that we're going to get to hear from y'all in a couple months. And there's so much that Naj and I want to talk to you about. But let's start with this. Both of you come from our world of TV journalism and had long careers in that. Penn, I'll ask you first. What was that first moment when you said, there's something outside of TV for me and it's time to leave the anchor desk?
Yeah, it was wild. I liked my job. I had moved from sports into evening anchor, and they gave me the opportunity to still call sports. And, it was a main weeknight job. You probably can't ask for much better, but my kids started going to grade school. And, you know how the schedule is. You either work from 3 to midnight or you work from 3 in the morning to noon. And, I didn't see them at night because they were going to bed too early. In the morning, if I tried to drive them to school, I was kind of a zombie. And so Kim had started this like media training company that turned into a production company. And she didn't have an editor. So she's like, hey, do you want to maybe edit some with me in the morning? And I love to edit. Like I even when I was the main evening anchor, I edited and still shot some too. I just enjoyed it. And so she kind of got into my ear and was like, we could just try to go do this on our own. And you can, use some of your same skills, you make your own schedule and you get to see your kids. And it took a while for me to actually like make the leap, but I wouldn't have done it without Kim. And when we did, it was just really lucky that this thing came along called YouTube that that liked our Christmas Jammies video, and then our life completely changed in a totally different way.
Yeah, Kim, you also worked as a journalist before co-creating your family's digital brand. What within you first whispered, there's a different way to tell our story than just mainstream media?
Good question. I would say I was always fascinated by the true storytellers of journalism, and because it's really hard. I think journalists don't get enough credit. I think it's an incredible skill. I would hire anybody who used to be a journalist. It's like boot camp for almost any other job. I can't say that we went into this thinking like, oh, we have a story to tell. And honestly, we were trying to tell other people's stories. Like we were hoping to be hired, and we were, by other companies, and we were behind the scenes. And I think what happened really was we had that Christmas Jammies video go viral, but even still, we were more behind the camera.
Yep.
And we were trying to get out of the people in these companies. That's not their job, right? To be on camera. And we're trying to do these fun, offbeat, like just videos with them. And we're trying to pull out of them. Like, I'm like, God, Penn, don't you think like if we did this, like we could probably, like if we were trying to sell something, if we had a company, like we could do videos like this. And then finally we got it through a thick skull that like there was YouTube. So it came to us slowly. We're still learning, but it wasn't exactly the business plan when he quit.
No.
Still learning seems very modest of you to say. God bless YouTube though, certainly.
Right?
One thing to be on television and have to present who you are to tens of thousands of people watching you from their living rooms. Another thing to really strip down to who the two of you are. And that's a really tough transition to make. How did y'all do it, moving from anchor reporter to the truest version of yourselves?
We're still learning. We are, but like we're definitely still learning. Honestly, it's what happens is you develop a relationship with the people who are watching your videos. It's much more intimate than when you're on broadcast TV. Like in instant comments, sometimes it's support, sometimes it's curiosity. And we did find fairly early on that, outside of all the corny parodies, when we took a moment to just be ourselves and to be imperfect, that landed more strongly than anything. I think, like our mission statement is permission to laugh, right? And we kind of poke fun of ourselves so that others can feel seen, heard, and know that they're not alone, and laugh as well. And so really, like, most of what we do is just talk about how we're screwing up.
Yeah, and that ends up being pretty relatable. But again, not part of the business plan, but we just slowly started, we would do like a song and dance 3-minute parodies, which were great fun. But being able to talk about, like postpartum depression, anxiety, Penn talked about his ADHD. When we started just kind of revealing, who we are, and quite honestly, we started creating what we were looking for on the internet. I know when my anxiety was super peaking and when my kids were little, like I was looking for somebody to tell me, like, because everything online at that time was how amazing motherhood was and how wonderful it was and how they wanted every moment to just last forever in these perfect cherub, cheeked babies. But I was having a very different experience. Love my kids, but I was having a very different experience. And I was kind of looking for somebody to say, like, this is it. Yes. And it's just really hard. So when we finally started talking about that, he started talking about the challenges of ADHD. I think the community built in the comment section was it was so touching to us to find community there, truly. And to now have like written books, and then like people come to book signings and we recognize their names because they've left comments on Instagram. Like, it's crazy. So it was actually very helpful to us.
Kim, let me ask you, when you left television and stepped into this world of online storytelling and started creating these videos that are just, everywhere, seen, all across the world on social media, what was that first moment when you felt like you were onto something special?
We keep saying it, like, we're still figuring that out, quite honestly. Like, I think we create videos and we go onto our phones, and we're replying to comments on our phones. So it still feels very small to us, which I enjoy. It is weird to us that when we go to the airport or Target or Disney World, that people know who we are. It is still continues to be shocking to me. I will say it was pretty cool. The year after we posted that Christmas Jammies video, SNL did a parody of us about like in my Christmas sweatpants.
Yeah, that was wild.
And so like that, I was like, well, that's pretty cool, So, I mean, I definitely didn't hang up the jammies at that point. Like, knew we still had to work, but that was pretty cool.
Penn, you've talked a lot about ADHD, and obviously your lovely wife just spoke about it. But you also said that your traits that you have with ADHD helped you win The Amazing Race, and so I wonder what that experience taught you about how your brain works, but also how Kim was able to help you be the best teammate that you could be.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it that it helped me. People with ADHD have what's called an interest-based nervous system. If we care about something and it's challenging and it's like new to us, then we're going to knock it out of the park, and we're going to do it in sometimes with an efficiency that neurotypical people can't. Most of your life, you're not in a situation like that, and that's where we struggle with ADHD. But The Amazing Race is nothing but that, right? There's $1 million. There's something new around every corner. It's challenging. It's gamifying life, which is what really like we excel at. So I think the challenges and a lot of the really difficult stuff, I think I was able to do more efficiently than most people. And so I really do think that's because of the type of brain that I have, the ADHD brain. On the other hand, like there were times that the emotional component of ADHD got the most to me. Not a lot of people know about that. ADHD causes you to flood emotionally when things go wrong. There's like, it's on national TV and it's on YouTube. You can look it up. I stared at a clue that was a clue and thought that it wasn't a clue because it was just too easy. And so like everyone passed me while I was overthinking this, which is another thing that people with ADHD do. But afterwards was devastated. Obviously thought I let my wife down. She is someone who understands my brain as well, and knew that if you offer a connection instead of a correction, to say, hey, I know, I'm sorry, this is really hard, I got your back, we're going to be fine, that we'd get through it. And so, I mean, that, I hope that answers your question. That's how, and also she was amazing at everything she did, but she also,
No, I was like having panic attacks the whole time.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, but he literally is like, oh, babe, it's fine. And he wore, I will say, like, he actually enjoyed it. He enjoyed everything. And because he was like, oh my gosh, when are we going to do this again? This is the coolest thing. And we're old enough to know, like, so he stared at a clue that was a clue for 45 minutes. And there was another team who had done the same thing. And that couple was fighting. And then I was like, babe, we have kids. This is a game show. I want to be married to you. Not like, it's fine. Like it's fine. Like there's more on the line than winning a game show. So I think that's something age gave us. But no, his ADHD, the hyper focus of it, 100% the reason we won.
Kim, let me ask you, and full disclosure, my wife is a kindergarten teacher, so that's how she became familiar with you guys, because of your videos. Wow. Me, I didn't become familiar with you guys until The Amazing Race. So we came from it from a couple of different angles. And so, Kim, The Amazing Race, what did it reveal to you about partnership and patience and having the space to thrive creatively?
You're sweet to ask that. I think at the end of the day, The Amazing Race, it's one of our favorite shows, but it's a relationship show, right? Yeah. Like they are purposefully putting you in really stressful, challenging, hard situations to test how you react. And they're a TV show, so it's really good when you overreact. Like I joke all the time that if we had not won, they probably wouldn't have featured us a lot, because if he screwed up, it was like, you know what? We got this. So I think that was so good, such a good challenge for our marriage, because at the end of the day, he and I have to have each other's back in this world, right? And we have to hype each other up. He does not have to fix me. I don't have to fix him. But like, we have to be the biggest hype squad for each other, especially when it's challenging, especially when it's hard. And so that just gave us a lot of practice. Like, we had to work that muscle every day. And I will say that's like another reason I think we did well, because we didn't waste time like yelling at each other. Because like, who is supposed to know? Like, it's a game show that we've never, been on before. So how would we know half of that stuff? So yeah.
Something to be said for, I think, your careers in television too. I mean, my wife and I say that our marriage works as well as it does because we thrive on communication. Something to be said for your careers in TV as well.
Absolutely.
Penn, let's go back to ADHD for a second. What's the first thing that you remember from the moment that you learned ADHD applied to you? Was there a specific thing that stood out to you?
You mean when I realized that I had it?
Sure.
Okay. So I was at my grandmother's funeral, and everyone was, my whole family was in a room talking about what we were going to do during the summer, because my grandmother used to always like rent a beach house. We'd all cram into it. And I was like pretty emotionally overwhelmed. I was sad to have lost her. I was also sad to be like losing this potential trip that was like a big part of my life. And my Aunt Zell says, like, interrupts with whoever was talking and said, hey, I'm sorry, I need to talk to Penn. Could you please stop chewing on that used fly swatter?
You have to do it in her accent, though.
Could you please stop chewing on that used fly swatter? And everyone laughed. They should have, thank God. I was so fixated on my thoughts that I was chewing on a used fly swatter.
Not a new one, guys.
In Eastern North Carolina, where there's a ton of flies. And so I was, I realized, okay, my brain is doing things that other people's brain aren't. Maybe it's time to check on it. And I was old enough that it wasn't like my parents took me and I drove myself to a doctor and I said, here's what happened to me. And they're like, yeah, you've got this, you have your whole life, here's some medicine.
And he was able to look back on his life and his childhood and just connect the dots. He tells the story of like, class, he's a super smart guy. So like he could like keep it straight during class, but the playground
Yeah.
was hard.
Right. That was the emotional component. I also just want to say, like, when I got diagnosed, and this is one of the reasons we've written all the books, nobody said, hey, there's some good sides to this. They're like,
Sure.
you have a problem, here's some medicine.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I don't take the medicine anymore. Nothing wrong with it. But
Medicine's great and it works. And yeah.
it is. But there was nothing about upsides, nothing about like how to make the most of it. It was just the medical model of almost like you got a cold. Okay, what do we do to make the symptoms go away?
Kim, I have to ask you, if you think back to, the period of understanding what ADHD was, how Penn was working through it, what stands out for you through the process, through that diagnosis as a partner and then as a parent as well?
So I came to know Penn, later 20s. We were TV news reporters. And I would say he was so charming, so spontaneous, just all over the place in the funniest way, life of the party, all of these things. And I was like, obviously I have to marry him. And so all of the things that I loved about him was like his ADHD. So when he told me he was like very serious, like, I have ADHD. I was like, of course you do. So and when you're young and in love, like, it's all very charming. I think not until we had kids, when there was a lot, even for a neurotypical brain, there's just a lot going on to challenge the executive functioning. Nothing will do that like some fatigue and an infant. So that is when we had to start having more serious conversations about, the daily life things. But I will say he took responsibility. He never said, oh, sorry, babe, I lost my keys again. Can't help it. It's my ADHD. Like, he took ownership of it, but that's like when he got to work. Yeah.
On that note, Penn, what role does routine play for you on a day-to-day basis in trying to bring order to a mind that can sometimes thrive on chaos?
Yeah, it's pretty important. Lists are important.
Yeah.
Lists with boxes. They can't just be lists. You have to have that dopamine hit when you're checking off the box. I will say for me, less than others, my job depends on the lack of routine in some cases.
Wow.
Which is, there is some routine. Like every week there's a cadence, there's meetings, but on the creative side of it, you have to be willing to get away from the routine if you want to discover things. So I try to compartmentalize. This is hard, by the way, because we work from home. I have to compartmentalize the lack of routine when it comes to creativity and keep that away from just like really making sure that I'm not just leaving stuff everywhere, which is an inconvenience to my entire family when they have to help me find it.
But I will say he is, I think that, like he said, there's sort of like a cadence and a rhythm to our week. And we have people who work on a team now who are very talented and have kind of put a structure in place. Like, meetings on Tuesdays, we shoot, or meetings on Mondays, we shoot on Tuesdays, we edit on Thursdays. Like, there's sort of a rhythm to it, but there is always space for that spontaneity. So that's his brain. My son's brain, he thrives in a routine. Like, we have one of those like big calendar, like light up digital calendars that sits on our kitchen counter, and his first stop in the morning, his last stop at night. I mean, he is looking, and the routine doesn't look much different week to week, but he's got to be locked in. And that is the only way we get out of the house with shoes on.
Penn, let me ask you, because I really like the way that you've transitioned ADHD from this kind of negative look at things to a more positive, proactive way. Because many people, as I mentioned, look at ADHD as a kind of limitation. What moment told you that the way that you were sharing your story was changing the way people looked at ADHD?
Yeah, we put kind of just a fun video out, maybe, I don't know, almost 10 years ago, like a Naughty by Nature parody. Instead of like being down with OPP, we were down with ADD. It was, the first half of it was the joking about, all of the trying to explain what it's like and how difficult it is. And then the second part of it was just, hey, there's some good stuff here too. And I'd always believed that, you can't cut your brain into pieces. It is what it is. So whatever the bad is, you take the good with it as well. And really, like in social media, again, this is different from if you're on broadcast media, but the comment sections were flooded with people just saying, thank you. No one is saying this. I've always thought that I had a special brain, but that's not what my school is telling me. That's not what my teachers are telling me. My parents are mostly frustrated. Thank you for putting a positive spin on it. And so we kept doing that. We kept making videos that were equally parts funny and fun. It led to the book, and the book, I think, hopefully, and the book was the work of not just me and Kim, but a lot of other people on our team, has, I think, cemented the fact that we don't have to look at ADHD as a badge of shame or a problem that you have to get fixed.
When you saw all of those comments flooding in, what did that moment mean to y'all?
It gave me a greater sense of purpose than just waking up every morning and making videos about pajamas.
Well, it's been a true gift because we have this platform that we're very thankful for. But I think at the end of the day, this is really a calling for Penn. And we have been so lucky that we've written a couple books, we've gone on our book tours, and like the kids who look up to him and give him hugs. I mean, and as a mom of a kid with ADHD,
and the moms who give you hugs,
because
you're that voice.
Because yes, it is. I think the work he's doing is to just eliminate the shame. And I, again, was unaware about the shame that people carry with a brain difference. Yeah. And so I think it's been the greatest gift, and maybe at the end of the day, why we were kind of lucky enough to be able to build this platform, was to be able to shine a light on this one very specific thing.
I have to ask you, what memorable video ideas ended up on the cutting room floor?
So many.
There's so many.
One that stands out?
He just wrote an entire song on sheet cake because I was going through a time. I sent my daughter to college, and so I was just coming home randomly with sheet cakes because I was like, babe, they don't even check if it's your birthday. You could just buy a cake for no reason. And that he wrote a song. It was really cute, but like at the end of the day, it was only relatable to me.
So that's not on the cutting room floor. That's in the parking lot, as we call it, which means like it's kind of out there in a satellite lot. And if we decide in 2 months that it's funny, we'll bring it back.
I just don't know how many random people buy.
To the tune of?
Oh, original.
It's original.
Oh, it's just original. Okay.
Original. Yeah. I feel like there's been many others. Oh, we just found another song about, what was that about? That you didn't even remember recording it. It was about like daylight savings time or something.
Oh yeah.
He was like, I don't even remember recording this, but we heard it and we're like, oh, maybe not.
So I gotta be honest, we've done over 1,000 songs.
Are you at 1,000 now?
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, some of them are like little micro songs, but so I mean, they're on their way to Mars now. I don't remember a lot of them. It's really funny when one of them pops up, or someone talks about one that I don't remember. Have complete amnesia of recording.
Yeah, we have a Monday morning meeting with our team. And there's 4 of us on a call, and we kind of pitch ideas of like things we want to shoot the next day, maybe the following week. And I've started pitching things we've already done. And they're like, okay, great, Kim.
We've reached the end of the internet.
We did that 4 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah. For educators who are going to be in the audience at the Every Child Counts Symposium, who work with neurodivergent students every single day, what story from your own journey would you want them to take back to their classrooms?
I would want them to know that what I'm doing now, and the job that I have, and the platform that I have, and the fact that like I'm here talking to you guys, and the fact that I married a smoking hot wife, and am able to send my kids off to college, is because of my ADHD, not in spite of it. I think a lot of people talk about succeeding in spite of this. You cannot ignore the positive sides of this sort of brain. And it's been ignored for a very long time. And any neurodiverse child is going to have probably a tough time understanding that when they are, let's say, 8. But look at me, big smiles, very happy. Like, a better world with ADHD is out there for every child.
And the reason he is here and can do all these things is because he had amazing, wonderful teachers along the way.
Yeah.
And they didn't know about ADHD back then. They just knew that he needed to move around a lot, and they accommodated before accommodations were a thing. So we are in debt to teachers. We love our teachers. We're offspring of teachers. So it is critically important, the work they are doing. And I just like bow down to teachers, especially those working with the neurodiverse.
Let me ask about when you walk off the stage at our Every Child Counts symposium. What do you hope stays with people as they leave the conference?
Yeah, you're not broken. You're not alone. There's nothing wrong with you. You have actually a pretty cool brain. The world was not necessarily built for people like us. So we're going to have to do a little bit of work to do some of those things that are difficult. The things that are difficult are sometimes easy for us, and the things that are easy for others can be difficult for us. But if you put systems in place, we talked about routines, find ways to make it through that part of our day, what's left is an extraordinary brain that can do extraordinary things.
There you go. The Every Child Counts Symposium comes your way January 12th through the 14th in San Diego. Kim and Penn Holderness will be there on the 13th, and we are looking forward to meeting you in person. Thanks so much for the time, and we'll see you in San Diego.